In this episode, I speak to Bron Hadley. Now, Bron is an entrepreneur. She's a fitness and life coach. She's also a lover of music and dancing, and she loves a good old-fashioned belly laugh, and you'll see that today. She also lives with her lovely husband Mick in the wine country just north of the Australian Capital Territory in Australia. And between them they have 6 children ranging between the ages of 17 to 32. And they look forward to becoming grandparents. But until then they love building memories together, travelling the world, watching live bands and hanging out with friends. And it's not unusual to find them on their local golf club, or golf course should I say, early on a Sunday morning. Now Bron has been running transformation programs for the past 8 years or so, and that's where her passion lies. Her passion is helping women who feel like the light within them has been dulled. And she finds that their midlife magic, through basically healthy nutrition, effective workouts, and building a strong intentional mindset, is so powerful. And by doing this and by helping them with this, she can help them live their life with passion and purpose. And that's why we hit it off, because she's absolutely brilliant talking about that. It just oozes out of her. Now, her dream is also to establish a non-profit program to help young mums who've been in abusive relationships get the right education and coaching to create their own online business so they can support themselves and their children without having to rely on others or having to choose by either going to work over raising their little babies. And so that's why I'm really looking forward to introducing you to Bron today. We cover lots of subjects, but also Bron has recently held a workshop for the members within the Total Somatics membership. So I want you to enjoy, whoever's on the outside of this as well as Total Somatics members, I want you all to enjoy this because she is a wonderful woman, and I hope this is the start of many future connections with her because she's wonderful, and you'll see why. So enjoy this episode. Hello and welcome to the Somatic Movement and Mindset podcast with me, clinical somatic educator and founder of Total Somatics, Heidi Hadley. The Somatic Movement and Mindset podcast has been designed to help you gain a deeper understanding to how your mind and body work. You will learn about your amazing mind and body and why over time you can feel pain, recurring injuries and poor posture. Within this podcast, I will teach you why this doesn't have to be your future or the norm for you. Would you like to learn how to reduce pain, move freely, and gain a new lease of life? Let's get started. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Now, in today's episode, we have a very special guest, and our guest today is Bron Hadley. First of all, as I've already mentioned to the members, there's no connection family-wise, but as we said, these Hadleys, from one side of the world to the other, they get around, and we managed to marry into the Hadley family. But Bron is absolutely fantastic, and you would have heard at the beginning of this podcast the bio about Bron. So there's quite a few interesting facts about Bron, and something I'd also like us to discuss as we go through it is in the future she's really planning from now on to the future is a non-for-profit organization that she wants to create, which I'm really keen on. At some point, Bron, if I can be of any involvement, please do, because I've gone goosebumps already because I'm incredibly passionate about this subject that you have. Something my husband and I have spearheaded for probably 18 to 20 years now.
Wow.
Yes, so we're very, very passionate. So when you said this, I thought we would love to be involved somehow. So for no further ado, what I'm going to do is pass you over to Bron. And Bron, can you tell us a bit more about who you are, what's brought you to this incredibly rewarding career, and then we'll delve in a little bit more to what you've brought to the members in the expert workshop that we actually did today. So that'd be wonderful.
Thank you, Heidi. Thank you for having me here. My name's Bron Hadley. I live in Australia in a little country town that's just north of the capital, Canberra. I run a fitness studio on our property here, and I sort of service the local community, training between 60 and 70 people a week. How did this come about? Well, interesting story. I used to work in Department of Defence for 26 years as a HR director. And I came off my motorbike one day, and that was the beginning of the end of my career with Defence. But not prior to that, but during that period, Defence was very, very good to me because I was a single mum with 4 children. I divorced when my children were 7, 5, 4, and 3. So I actually had 4 kids under 4. And I was a victim of domestic abuse back then. So yeah, life was pretty tough back then. And I worked full time. I had the most amazing mum that helped me look after the children. And I had very particular goals for the children. My goals were that they would have Catholic education, and, you know, that they would never, ever going to be seen to come from a family, a single parent family. And my ex-husband decided that he would quit work so that we didn't receive any funding. So that put a little bit of a spanner in the spokes, which is why I'm really passionate about getting this nonprofit program up and running, because I want women, particularly young mums, to be able to learn to create an online business without having to rely on exes or without having to rely on the government for funding. But more importantly, I literally had to make the decision of climbing the corporate ladder so that I could give my kids the life that I wanted them to have. And that comes at a cost. So, you know, long hours at work, things like that, where you miss out on certain things in their lives. I was very lucky that my mum was able to enjoy a lot of the things. So they did have that rather than babysitters. But yeah, and I guess I just love helping women find that passion and purpose. I help women that feel like the light inside of them is dulled to find their midlife magic so that they can live a life with passion and purpose. And that's, you know, whether that be through weight loss, whether that be through changing their thought patterns, whether that be helping them find a new career. I just think that this beautiful world that we have is there for us to experience. And I always have this dream of putting a tattoo on my arm, no regrets. But then I saw that tattoo of that guy that spelt no regrets on his chest and spelt regrets wrong. Rugrats instead of regrets. So that's me.
Yeah, brilliant. And the thing is, Bron, you're going to have to excuse if you're watching this on the YouTube video podcast. I have all my notes here from earlier because we've literally just come off the members workshop and we're recording this podcast straight afterwards. So I was scribbling all these notes away because the workshop that Bron held for the members was incredible. And I just want to bring out some of these main points because it kind of ties in, Bron, with what we do in Total Somatics, what we focus on, what you're mentioning, but also how it comes into your nonprofit as well. You know, it's all again about mindset. And I'm going to look down here, everyone, just because there's a few little pointers that I wanted to mention. Now, you also discussed about the midlife magic. And I thought it's really good because we live in a society where it's very youth and age focused, isn't it? So it's like,
oh yeah,
it's all about, really, if you've got people doing these anti-wrinkle commercials and they only look about 18, to be honest with you, you know, and you think, well, you shouldn't really be having wrinkles at 18, you know.
That's right.
But it's this illusion. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's always that sort of thing. So what was incredible is when you were talking, you were saying that by 2050, there's going to be 2.1 billion people that are aged between 45 and 65 years of age. That's a lot of people. It is a lot of people that can get forgotten when we live in a very age obsessed, and basically it's very vacuous at times, isn't it? It's all about the outward look of a person, whereas we know it's all about creating that depth that internal strength and that sort of thing. And so within your statistics, when you're talking, you said that stress and anxiety peaks around the age of 50 to 54.
That's right.
Which is, so can you tell us a little bit more about, within your work as well, how you've kind of worked with that group of people and the kind of things that come around to contribute towards those sort of feelings of stress and anxiety in that period of time?
I guess for me, I've just turned 54 in July, and how I came into this particular, not so much this particular world, I'm in this world because I'm 54, but how I came into trying to learn more about women at this age group is I started going through menopause about 7-8 years ago. And all the struggles that I have encountered with this thing called menopause, the sleepless nights, the weight gain, all of those sorts of things. So I then started to sit in these groups in Facebook to try to understand more about what was going on with women. Yes, women in menopause, but what was going on with women at this age group. And whilst I personally believe menopause gets a bad rap, it seems like we want to hang everything off this menopause hook. I've got gained weight, it's menopause. I feel anxious, it's menopause. I've got itchy skin, it's menopause. I've got a dry vagina, it's menopause. Everything related to what we're going through at this age seems to be related to menopause. And the more I interviewed women, the more I sat back and listened to women, the more I found that there were so many other things going on in this age group, in addition to menopause. In this age group, you're more likely to have your children starting to leave home because they're old enough to leave home, or they're going off to college or university. In this age group, we get to this age where we think, you know what, I want to do something different with my life. So we're juggling career changes. In this age group, we're starting to think about retirement. So we start to think about, have I done enough to get myself through to retirement? And one of the things that I found absolutely eye-opening is when I was looking at domestic abuse, separation and divorce is also at a peak in this age group because of menopause, because of what women go through in menopause. The mood swings and things like that. So separation, divorce is a big one. And then, some women will also lose their husbands during this age group. So for me, okay, there's a lot of stuff that menopause is linked to. My sleepless nights because of hot flashes they tell me is because of hormone changes. But there are also a lot of other things that I'm worried about, with my kids that have left home, lots of other stuff that is in addition to menopause. So there's a lot of stresses during this time of life.
And I think that's a really powerful point, because that kind of really flows into what was fantastic in that workshop, which was all about the inner talk and our thoughts. Because that's the thing, is there's a level of realizing that this is a new phase of our life, like an evolution. So we're moving on to something else. But it's like, are we wanting to look at our thoughts and our inner talk and see how we're kind of approaching this new area? Are we still kind of wanting to have what we had in the past, which is different because the children have left home, or biochemically our body's different? So it's kind of that acceptance. But then with the acceptance, thinking, actually, this is a really exciting new period of time where I can discover now what I like to do, what my passions are, because
exactly,
there's many times that the children have taken, they always do, because that's what happens, but the children are the priority. But now that they've left home, this is where you get to, like, if you're with a partner, you get to reignite that relationship.
Yes.
I know from my mother-in-law, she said when all four children left home, she said it was like they had to date again and get to know each other, because there's so much conversation based around the children, that she said it was kind of, and they've got such a strong relationship, but it's literally that they just needed to find that common ground again, because of it, so much of it is consumed with the children, isn't it, over the years? That's the thing.
Totally. And I think for all of us, it would be hard to find anyone that finds falling in love a horrible thing. That first time in your life where you fall in love, a new love, that first honeymoon period, and that's a time where you can reconnect with your husband to try to generate those feelings again. Or it's a time that you can, for me, I took up golf, so I started a new sport because I now have the time to do that. And I just think that now's the time where you have the time and the money, generally speaking, at this age, where there are so many things that you can go out there and explore.
And it's true, because that kind of, and you could see how your body and your face even shifted when you said that, because what it does is and you were mentioning this vibrational energy in our body. And again, it's where it links with your thoughts, because you were saying that the vibrational energy of like fear and excitement is still really high. It's there. But it's like, with the energy, what story or thought process did you put with it? Because you can see that your energy, your body shifted, your even the tone shifted because of the excitement of taking on this new interest of golf. But at the same time, if we're not really listening to our inner talk, you can see how we can go down this rabbit hole of fear and disempowering belief systems, which we talked in the workshop, didn't we, how it can come from a generational thing, but we can shift that. We don't have to believe those thought processes, which are like sometimes well-intentioned, but they're through somebody else's belief system. But when we change our thoughts, we can start to take back more control, can't we? Instead of feeling like we're stuck. Does that make sense? You know where I'm...
Oh, totally. And it's such an empowering thing when you fully understand that your thoughts are a choice. Once you come to that realization that what's going on up here as far as self-talk goes, once you actually understand that those thoughts are a choice and you can choose how you think, you then understand that you have the power to change the vibration that occurs in your body, to then change the way that you show up in the world, and then the way that you get results and what results are showing up for you. And you're quite right. When you just look at the vibration in your body that's created by an emotion or a feeling, fear and excitement show up the same way as a vibration. It's just the label that we give it. And we can certainly turn fear into excitement by how we think. And one of the examples that I give women in my group is, if you are sitting on the couch and you hear a noise outside, it's not the noise outside that creates the feeling of scared. It's the thought that you have like, oh my God, someone's out there. That's what creates the feeling of scared, not the noise itself. So it's really interesting to be able to tap in and watch how you think and watch the cogs turn. And all you need to do is just pay attention. I don't think we learn enough how to study ourselves, and we just need to pay attention to what's going on.
It's true. And I think it's also knowing that throughout the day, our emotions are up and down, and it's to feel that we're safe enough to sit with those feelings, because sometimes we get this energy or we get this sensation. And if we've lived in a very stressed pattern, and it could be because we've been busy taking care of the children and we've put ourselves at the bottom of the list, it could be because we've been in a domestic violence situation. So there's a survival mechanism where you just live in your head because it's in service of survival. You're looking for where you can protect yourself. So from your neck down, you kind of numb yourself. You just don't notice the bodily sensations, for instance. What can happen then is that when you do get these sensations, because there's not been any embodiment or any full body awareness, because we've just lived in our head, we can get quite anxious if we don't feel comfortable in our own skin, or we're not aware of the various sensations that can come throughout the day, because there's other stories that have been linked in the past. But when we know we're in a safer environment, that's a really good time to start to delve into look at that embodiment, that inner work. Because as you put this beautiful model together, the model that you looked at, and the big part it's that sensations, isn't it? And then it's your inner talk.
Yes.
How have you found that? Because obviously people are going to come to you from different walks of life. And I've probably just taken it into probably one of the extreme areas in that side of things. But how have you connected with women and getting them to connect really with their own sensations in inner self? How's that helped when they've come in with a disempowering thought? And how have you kind of shifted and encouraged them to shift their perspective and their habits really?
I guess I've been a life coach for 15, 16 years now. So I've coached women through many, many different things in their life, you know, relationships, weight, careers, all of those sorts of things. And one of the things that I say to women, we are human beings to start with. We are supposed to feel all the emotions. Mm-hmm. And when someone comes to me and I say to them, what do you want? And they say to me, I want to be happy. It's like, no, you don't all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, if you've lost a loved one, you don't want to be happy. Mm-hmm. So I think the first thing is that as human beings, we need to accept that there's always yin and yang in life. You cannot experience pure happiness unless you know what sadness is. You cannot experience elation and all of that unless you've been to the other side as well. So that's just normal part of life. I think when we try to push aside the negative stuff, what we see as negative emotions, that's when it can become crippling for us. And what I try to get ladies to do is to embrace that. Just embrace those feelings. I'll never forget when my daughter moved to the other side of the world, and all I wanted to do was lay in bed and cry all day, every day. And the thought of her leaving me was too much to bear. But what I did was I allowed myself to be there for a little while. And then I said, you know what? This isn't serving anybody well. It's not serving her. It's not serving me. You've had your cry now, Bron. Now it's time to get up and move on. So I think some people sort of keep themselves busy so that they don't need to think about stuff. And I'm here to say, think about it. Think about it, allow it to be, embrace it, you know, embrace the sadness, embrace the fear, embrace those sorts of things. Because the more that you embrace it and the quicker that you embrace it, the quicker that you can move out of it. Because we're human.
Yeah.
The other thing is that I had a lady come to me once that I was life coaching through her relationship. And when she came to me, she said to me, I'm moving away from my husband. We're disconnecting from each other. I love him. He loves me, but it's just not working. So I said, well, what's going on? And she said it was her birthday the week before. And she said, I was cooking a lovely dinner for my birthday and my husband didn't get home in time for dinner. So I said to her, well, what were you telling yourself about that situation? And she said, I told myself that, you know, he was stuck at work and he just didn't love me. If he cared about me, he would have showed up for my birthday. So, of course, when he's arrived home, she's so worked up that she's created this big hoopla and they've had this huge fight. He's gone to bed. She's ended up spending her birthday alone. And that was it. So I said to her, what could you have replaced that thought with? The thought of, you know, he just doesn't care about me. He's at work. And we then started to unpack the thought of, rather than he just doesn't care about me, all of that, the thought of, oh gosh, he's working so hard. What can I do for him when he gets home, even though I know it's my birthday? So we started to unpack that. And we noticed we put it into two columns and we looked at this one and then this one. And then we looked at what vibrations both of those cause in the body and then what the action was or the effort that she went to. The effort that she went to with this column was she started a fight with him when he got home because she was so worked up. The effort that she went to in this column was she embraced him. They had a beautiful candlelit dinner and all of those. So you can see when you start to map that, and that's what I normally get my clients to do, you know, map out how can you change this thought to create a different result. And we go through that and you can start to see how it manifests in your life and how your results can be different. And it all comes through choice.
And I think it's like catching yourself, isn't it? Because it is it's just that practice with changing and looking at your thoughts, because they're going on all the time, and the way that you view the world, the way you perceive the world is just your belief system. And so it's catching yourself that if you feel you're going into that negative, critical talk, it is, isn't it? It doesn't happen overnight. It's literally looking at how you can do it. And I know there was one member in the workshop, and she said that she's going to use her partner. They're going to do like an accountability and use this together. I thought that was brilliant.
Absolutely fantastic.
And the model that you went through, she said you could use it in all areas of your life. And that's how versatile it is. Because when you're thinking of your thoughts and your beliefs and your habits, everything's made up from our thoughts and habits, really, isn't it?
That's right.
That reason.
Yeah. And we have belief systems that can start from, 5 years old.
Yeah.
Something could have happened at 3, 4, 5 years old where there was an event. And at that point, even as a 3-year-old, we told ourselves something.
That's right.
And that's the start of what could have been a very destructive belief, depending upon what it was.
Yeah.
So we need to start to paying attention to the patterns that we have. And one of the various easiest ways to do that is to do thought downloads. Just grab a blank piece of paper and just write all the thoughts. Don't critique it. Don't judge it. Just write it, put it to the side, come back when you've got time and look at it and go, wow, come from a place of curiosity. Isn't that interesting? Mm-hmm. That's what I said. And then start to unpack it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is, because you made a couple of statements which I loved in the workshop. You said your thoughts are a choice. So the way you talk to yourself, and then you also said, notice your quality of thoughts, because what you get what you repeat. That's what I put here. And it's so true, isn't it? It's literally, it can be like a broken record, and that broken record could actually be not a very positive, but building self-talk.
Particularly for women, because we are our worst critics. And the problem with the brain is when the brain sees a pattern over and over again, it will chunk it and store it in the subconscious. So if you're somebody that is constantly beating yourself up, your brain sees that as a pattern and it's sitting back here. And, that's just what's running your belief system. So you need to unlock that and bring that to the forefront.
And we, within the workshop, you're talking about the overall well-being, because I think when women beat themselves up and they'll go, I'm overweight, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. And it's all just, again, really negative. But you and I have chatted before, haven't you? You were saying that people might say it's menopause, but it could be the habits behind it, and it's like, are you comfort eating for that reason? And then if you're having a lot of, I don't know, sugar at night or alcohol at night, and it's affecting your quality of sleep, and you blame it all on the menopause, but it could be those habits that are sneaking in. And it's actually when you then address the habits and the thought processes around that, there's sometimes if there's that little bit of weight gain that you've had, when you start looking at the thoughts and the habits, that can shift on its own. So when we move away from thinking we've got to be on the scales and get into a certain number, it's actually looking at the quality of our thoughts and the quality of our life. That's the shift. And then as a byproduct, there's a bit of weight off, but it's not just about the weight, it's about our mental well-being.
Yeah. And I say to my clients, please, please, please fall in love with the journey. The destination will take care of itself. Whatever that is, fall in love with the journey of healthy eating, moving your body, positive thoughts, setting your home up for success, all of those sorts of things. Love that journey, and then everything else will fall into place.
Yeah. No, it's amazing, isn't it? And I was going to say, Bron, that you've been a very busy lady, because you were mentioning to me as well, and we were talking about this, is that you're part of an ebook that's released and is available on Amazon. So can you tell us a bit about that? Because how's that come into your journey and that sort of thing?
So look, a couple of things have happened to me this year, which has been very exciting. So I got to be in a collaboration of an actual book. So my chapter is an ebook. So there's 21 women. The book is available. It was released in October on Amazon. It's called Absolute Will. And the book is about 21 women who have overcome adversity in their lives to achieve great things. as I said, I was one of them. I spoke about my domestic abuse and the raising of my children. There's another lady in there that speaks about, you know, the loss of a child, other ladies getting through cancer or autoimmune diseases. And it's just an absolutely beautiful book. I don't even think I've got a copy down here. No, I don't. It's on my bedside table because I'm reading all the other ladies' stories. And yeah, you can buy it on Amazon. I do have a link to buy it through my link on Amazon, but I do also have my chapter in an ebook, which is available if anybody is interested in reading that. And look, my hope is that my story touches somebody's life and has the ability to inspire other women to know that they can, you know, create a life of purpose. My life at the moment is, if I can help women find their magic, I just feel blessed. I got to speak on an international stage for the first time this year. It was for women that had just gone through a divorce. So it was women, how they were approaching life after divorcing. So I managed to speak on a stage from a lady in Canada, and which I'm hoping to do more of. And it's all because I have this dream of creating a program so that I can help young mums to learn how to do this and support themselves and their children, so they never have to choose work over their kids again.
And I just think it is so powerful when you mention that, because if you think about it really as well, is that if we can, you know, and I say we as a whole collective community here, if we can support those people that are those ladies that are, you know, starting a new life and they've got their children witnessing what's happening, what it can also do is break that cycle of what's happening in the future. So it's powerful because it's really upskilling and building that person, but then it's also the children see it, and then this is one thing that my husband and I are really powerful about is breaking that cycle before it hits the next generation as well.
Yes,
that's things that, like, I've worked with when we were in the UK as well, and it's really that, and that's why within Total Somatics, if anyone's listened to like the live experiences when I've talked about how your brain patterns tension with stress and that sort of thing, and also within the membership we talk a lot about the mindset aspect. And that is that there are, you know, and you see a lot, there are people that have come from abusive situations and they live on this go, you know, this green light, sort of, we say in somatics, a green light personality. It can be the other way, but it's, if you think about it, in service of survival, your nervous system is going to keep you in this heightened sense of alertness, you know, for different reasons, either because you're fleeing, you're looking at how you can make the next bit of income for you or for your family. And what happens is that your nervous system can't cope like that for a long time. If it does, then you get like the crash and burn, and get the high levels of inflammation, all sorts of aspects in health can be impacted by it. So that's why when you and I first met, I just thought I'd love to be involved, because, you know, that's the thing, is it's upskilling them with the online business side of things, but it's added to that is their well-being and noticing what's going on within their body, because the children mirror their behavioral patterns, isn't it? So it's bringing that calmness in, so we can stabilize their nervous system, get them back into a state of balance, because you know that there's going to be up and down. If there's relationships that they've still got to continue to have at times because of the children, it's learning for them to manage that skill set of how they deal with the stress, but how to bring it back down and center, and other aspects as well. But it's just I get quite passionate about it, because it is pretty powerful on that side of things. But the lives that you can touch, Bron, doing this is incredible, really. And it all just comes back down to, I think community is a huge thing.
Yes.
People know that someone else has got their back, and also people know that they've been there, they've walked the journey they are, but then you can inspire them years later and say, this is what can happen if you actually just, like you can say figuratively, take my hand and I'll walk you there and I'll support you. That's what's powerful. And I think that's also what's powerful, is when you have a community like that there's the empathy involved. So there'll be days that you feel like you can take the world on and you feel like a superstar. And then other days you're like, I don't know. But if you know that you've got a skill set, and then you've got a business, like you're saying, a business that you can do remotely. You can be anywhere with your children. You're being on a little holiday. You might have to move homes at different times, but as long as you've got the internet and you've got a phone or you've got the laptop, you can do your business from anywhere.
Yeah. And I think a big thing about domestic abuse is it's not just all physical abuse.
That's right.
It's also not just all emotional abuse. You know, being economically constrained by somebody that gives you no access to bank accounts, and when everything sort of falls apart, leaves women with nothing. You know, they're in shelters trying to get support and food. Well, what if in those shelters they actually learnt a skill and learnt to be able to create their own income, to be able to buy their own homes, buy their own cars, put their kids through school, dress them, feed them, all of those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the power of all of this is. It's getting women out of this cycle of the shelters. And as you said, it's making a change for their kids as well. It's a ripple effect that happens. And I'm going to start with a shelter in Canberra, and just go from there. And hopefully I can get wonderful women like you in to be mentors. So that's my plan.
No, it's fantastic. And it kind of, you can see where it comes full circle back to everything that you were working with the workshop today with the members, because, you know, but people might go, well, really, can a thought do anything? Well, whoever's listening or watching this today, whatever you've got going on in your life, just ask yourself, if you could just change that thought that might be a bit negative or a bit disempowering, or you're always running yourself down, what would it be like? Imagine how you'd feel physically, emotionally, energetically if you switched that statement for something that's actually a bit more empowering, rather than feeling that you've got to be you're punching yourself all the time. Because I don't know about you, Bron, but I've said it to many people, and I'll probably say it again in the future, is if you spoke to people the way that you speak to yourself sometimes, you'd basically be pulled to one side and say, you know, rein it in. That's actually, you're being quite abusive to that person. How dare you talk to them like that? And yet we just accept it. You know, and it's if we just look at our thoughts, and our thoughts create those behaviors and those habits and our energy. And it's that vibrational energy, isn't it? We bounce off each other, really.
Yeah. And can I say, if there are any women or young mums out there that are listening to this, that are in this situation, I would beg them to reach out to me, because, you know, I need to start somewhere with this. And if there are women out there that think that, you know what, I have an idea, but I've never, ever thought that it could be anything because I'm stuck in this situation, you're never, ever stuck. Like, you know, I would love to take someone's hand and show them through this, and let them be a model that I can actually, you know, work from, and to do this, to get this out into the world, because that's the hardest step. The hardest step is, this is just a dream of mine in my head at the moment. I need to get it out there so that we can look at it and tweak it and see if it works, and change lives. Change these women's lives.
Exactly. What I'll make sure, Bron, is that everything that we've talked about today, and even if those ladies want to reach out to you, we'll make sure in the show notes there are ways that they can do this. And when this podcast goes with the blog, I'll make sure that there's ways that they can connect straight through from the blog as well. So I'll make sure the links are there.
That would be wonderful.
That would be fantastic, because the thing is, you're this wealth of knowledge and experience, and empathetic, you know, it's just, you just radiate that. And because we've chatted before, that's the thing, is it's just there, you know, you can see it all the time. And so it's very easy to kind of reach out and chat, and if they need to, they can brainstorm with you. And you actually said, that triggered a thought for me. You said brainstorming in the workshop. So again, brainstorming, either if those ladies reach out to you, or brainstorming when we were talking in other aspects of our life. Because you said when we brainstorm, we're moving from our subconscious, those habitual behaviors and patterns and belief systems that somebody could have told us that we were this, that, and the other, or we believed it from the way we were treated. too conscious. So when we then do this brainstorming and shift from the habits that have been not always serving us well to mindfully or consciously becoming aware of those thought processes, that's when the power and the magic begins, really, isn't it?
That's right. Yes. And, you know, I was once told that on your tombstone, you have 2 dates, the date that you were born and the date that you passed, and they are irrelevant. The bit that matters on the tombstone is the little dash. Yeah. What have you done with the little dash? And I try to show up every single day, filling more and more into my little dash. Yeah. So that's what I want to do. And I want to help other women, you know, make the most out of their little dash. Yeah.
It's true. We recently, a few months ago, went to a memorial of a very inspiring man who's about 91, and they actually brought that out in the talk, is the dash in between.
Oh, wow.
And when you heard things about his life which we didn't know about, and then you saw the slides on the PowerPoint of his 91 years, do you know, my husband and I came out of that and we said, he's really inspired us to think of what we're doing with our life, where our priorities are. But also how incredibly modest he was, the things he did, but he made an impact to all these people, but we didn't realize that he was he was behind it all. Yeah. So it was powerful when they said about that dash, but it's true, Bron. It's so true. So true.
And I want my children to be able to, you know, sit at my funeral being so proud of my dash. And yeah, that's what drives me.
Yeah, absolutely. And also we want everyone else to find out how inspiring you are as well, because that's why I'm going to make sure there's all the links below, because I've got here, if you want to just reach out to Bron for whatever reason from what we've been discussing today, and I will make sure this is in the show notes, but if you go to Bron at sweatysisters.com, so that's Bron, B-R-O-N, at sweatysisters.com. If you want to reach out to Bron for anything that we've discussed today, please do. But is it that way, Bron, that you could email them on the chapter from your book? Is that right?
Definitely. So if they just send me an email and they want to read my chapter, I'll send them the link to my chapter, or I'll actually give them the attachment to my chapter, or they can see what I do on sweatysisters.com.
Brilliant. Can you tell us a little bit about Sweaty Sisters? Because you have got a wait list as well. So
I do. So Sweaty Sisters is for women in midlife. You'll see that my marketing on there is about women in menopause, but I have my current membership that's opened, and it's closed at the moment, but will reopen in the new year. Look, there's 37 women in that membership, and I think probably 10 of them are menopausal. So the others are women in midlife. And we just look at things like healthy food, you know, really good workouts for women at our age group, a lot of the positive thinking. We do cooking together once a month. We do an exercise together or a workout together once a month. And it's creating that community of support for women. One of the things that I wanted to do for menopausal women and women in midlife is to create a group of women that are taking positive action. I'm not big on sitting in groups and saying, woe is me, and feeding off all the negativity of other people. And like I was saying before, you know, women are, you know, this is just menopause. Nothing I can do. Well, okay, that's your thought process. How about we get up and we actually start doing something and notice how everything that starts to change. So that's what the membership is all about. And Sweaty Sisters is about getting our sweat on in both exercise and pulling our sleeves up and getting to work. So
brilliant. I love the name. I've told so many clients recently about Sweaty Sisters, and they're all looking forward to hearing this podcast because it's such a wicked name. It's brilliant. So
I have lots of ideas for Sweaty Sisters.
So thank you so much, Bron, for joining us today. And as I said to anyone, if you're listening, all the links that you need will be in the show notes, so you can come back and check this out anytime. And yeah, you can follow Bron on different areas if you're on social media and that sort of thing. And if you're really interested as well in sweatysisters.com, there's a wait list there as well. So there's lots of ways you can find Bron. And I hopefully, Bron, this is the first of many times we can connect, because I'd really love to be involved with your incredible mission. So if I can help in any way, I'm here. So please.
Thank you so much for having me. I've absolutely had a blast this morning. I've just loved it.
Oh, it's been a pleasure having you. And on behalf of the members, either the watch live or the watch the replay, thank you so, so much. You're an absolute treasure. So thank you.
My pleasure.
So thank you everybody for listening today, and I will see you very, very soon. So until next time, take care. Thank you for joining me today. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and also forward this on to somebody you know will benefit. To learn more about pain relief, plus how to improve your health and well-being, go to totalsomatics.com. Until next time, take care.